I think we're nearly ready to go.
Yeah, definitely. And
Let's do this.
well, let's get into this. This is, of course, the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2016 Championship, and we're live with Mousesports and MongolZ.
That's right, so Mousesports on the counter-terror side. Their outfit next, Chris J, Nico, Speedy, and Dennis up against the Mongolian team who have come from Vietnam, funnily enough. And they've got, I think, Menace, Silkenberg, Machine Gun, NCL, and Sodu. And at the moment, like already that aggression coming out from the seats is doing a fantastic job here as Chris J and Nico have found one headshot apiece with that early push out onto the catwalk, catching MongolZ off guard really before they can get into their stride as they were caught unawares at the top of mid. They now find themselves with a two-man deficit. Silkenberg trying to impose his will on those players at B, but you can see the bombs actually headed out mid, and again as the third member goes down, Machine Gun, the turret of the team, didn't have any support there as he does get taken down without any sort of exchange.
That's right. I mean, now it firmly falls on Silkenberg's shoulders, but of course, he's fallen quite quickly, and Chris J finishing the job. What an absolute beast with 4 frags on that pistol round. So he certainly started the game well, and I think, as we said, Chris J's performance is certainly a key catalyst to Mousesports doing well. And if that's any indication, he's ready to go.
Well, it's not just that, it's also the fact that he's also built up that economy off the back of those 4 frags, knowing that he is the AWP of the team. That's a fantastic start for him. We do see that he actually invests in a scout this round, but his teammates, 3 of them with SMGs, so going for the, I guess, Skrilla bonus that the SMGs can provide. But MongolZ, like we said, they force bought here, so this is what we're expecting for them. They certainly backed themselves. This is not a write-off by any stretch of the imagination. They've got, I think, 5 pistols there, some Tech 9s, some P250s, armor across the board, and Machine Gun already has taken some damage quite early on to start off the round.
That's right, and he just... matching up against, I believe, Chris J in the mid-double doors there. But look at them grouping up here at the mid-double doors. They're ready to go. That bomb is about to make its way out. And, of course, Machine Gun actually finds the first frag. So Chris J falls quite early there. Next, trying to stop them from coming out those double doors. But they've already got their objectives. So they're going to make their way back through, and I believe onto the catwalk up to A. Well,
that's right. They're moving up there at the moment. There's actually no CT defender. They're quickly trying to rotate from a Mousesports perspective, trying to get eyes back onto short. They do have now one member there on that A ramp, and as the attack comes in here on T ramp, you can see that Nico has managed to hit one frag. Dennis and I think Next quickly trying to support their comrades and doing a fantastic job at the moment of shutting down what could have been a dicey round for them. Last surviving member is Menacing. He has a scout, and perhaps that's a sign of things to come from a Mousesports perspective as he rips the head off Dennis there. A sumptuous frag. He now finds himself in a 1-on-2, moving up catwalk.
I'm not going to lie, I thought that was a deagle frag, so I was a little bit more excited than probably necessary, but nonetheless, he's got to reclaim that bomb and try and get it down. He's got 35 seconds to work with, and he's just dancing around. See if he can spot that man out in the sight, but of course the counter-terrorists are setting themselves up quite well, though. Nico takes that fight, and of course Speedy takes him down, and they managed to navigate that anti-force buy.
Yeah, a little bit, I think, more difficult than they would have hoped for in that instance. They only had 2 surviving members, and this is the sort of situation now where MongolZ have done a lot of damage, perhaps knowing that the economy of Mousesports is quite low at the moment, and they're almost tempted to buy into it to try and, I guess, break the bank, so to speak. But I like the fact that they've shown, I guess, a little bit more restraint in this round. They are actually on a full eco, apart from perhaps 1 or 2 odd pieces of weaponry across the board, but it looks as though Chris J might have a feast of things at the moment. He's got 1 at the top of mid to contend with, but a couple moving down lower dark at the moment. And nice HE grenade there, carpet bombing the top of mid. The T's moving their way down mid.
That's right. I believe NCL, it was actually down to 13 HP, but they're going to try their luck here at B, of course. Menace making his way back through upper dark there, and in the meantime, the rest of the T's are actually amassing their forces towards this B site, but I do believe they have a member out at mid as well, so it's going to be an attempted split approach, but they're just waiting momentarily for that smoke to fade before busting their way onto this site. It could be a bloodbath.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Dennis here. Looks to be the one who is really racking up the frags as a result. He has got 1 and bides his time, to be honest, before getting the second and converting onto Menace. And as Speedy caps Machine Gun in the head, all of a sudden Silkenberg, the second star player of the team, is the last surviving member, just has a Glock in hand, so not expecting too much. But Jim, as we move on to the first gun round here, what are you expecting from MongolZ as they now find themselves down 3-0?
Well, for me, it's about them going back to their characteristic aggressive play. This is the T side. This is their chance to set the pace as well. They really can't let Mouse try and dictate. So be prepared for some Mouse aggression, but on the same token, be aggressive themselves. So this is what I'm expecting from MongolZ.
They have actually invested here from a terrorist perspective. 5 AKs, some utility to support them as well, but they will be up against potentially what could be a bit of a weaker buy here, with Chris actually opting to keep that stout hand, backing his ability with that, I guess, lesser, or inferior sniper rifle, as I might suggest, but a nice NOA boost coming in here from the Germans, and from the time being, MongolZ perhaps very wary of that Chris J. Orb, not to know that he has opted to keep that scout and actually take it towards the B side. So you can see they've actually smoked off mid quite effectively. It's bounced onto the Xbox, blocking off the vision at the moment of the two double stack players. But as that time expires, as the terrorists make their way up catwalk, potentially that smoke might now start to dissipate. A hole might emerge here, so NCL in a lot of danger potentially, but no, the CTs have backed off.
Yeah, they've broken that stack and just relinquishing a little bit of control, but I believe their Mongols are actually trying to send someone out mid to poke into CT spawn, trying to get that frag, and of course, if they do manage to do that, they're going to split the sites quite well. As you can see, the CTs, if that man next does fall in CT spawn, they will split those counter-terrorist forces between the two sites, and as we know, rotation times are so long.
Good flash there from Dennis. He actually does a great work there, supporting his teammate next, capitalising off the back of a machine gun, who was blinded, really. I think that's about the third or fourth round in a row that machine gun has been nullified, really, without a chance of getting that frag. But quite strangely, they're insisting on walking out mid here. It looks as though NCL will now take up the reins and the responsibility of doing so. Zilkenberg comes to support his teammate, but with the bomb down on catwork and still terrorists at the top of mid, it's a little bit disjointed for the moment. But having said that, perhaps that's the way the Mongols like it. They have found 2 headshots here, so an opening has emerged in this first gun round, and Spitty at the moment coming to support his teammate there on the A ramp will get the drop onto the head of Sodu. And quickly repositions himself back towards Long at the moment. Nico chiming in with 2 frags, so fantastic work here by Mousesports. They're doing a great job of supporting each other on the sites, and whilst they haven't won necessarily every duel, they always have a teammate close by to make sure that they do have the situation under control. Nico there does get caught off guard, having said that, so a 2 versus 2, both terrorists moving in towards their side. They actually tap that bomb, and Zilkenberg rips the head of Chris J, moves down to a 1-on-1. Zilkenberg connects there onto Spitty. Great job there by Mongols, rescuing that round with only about 3 or 4 seconds left on the stopwatch. Great job there, Mongols winning the first round.
They left it late, but of course they got the job done. Now, for me, that was a very uncharacteristic round from Mongols. We saw some aggression, but again, they weren't really trying to force the issue. They put themselves up in mid there, and of course that flash coming out opened up the mid for next to get a frag, and it looked like it was traffic all the way. As they do try and make their way out long, but it was traffic all the way. Mousesports, they managed to turn around at the last moment, but Tech-9s as a result on the buys and trying to get out long. They do have control of long and force Mousesports back into that site. Yeah,
they did a good job there of recognising they had a fantastic spawn that Lord Gaben had provided them, so they quickly got out long, got control of that pit area, and quite commonly see teams fall back and almost try and pinch to that A site, but at the moment they're pushing out with this sort of 4-1 split with only one member on that catwalk in the form of Zilkenberg, and already NCL's gone down, but look at the CT rotation here, so all 4 remaining members of Mousesports are on A. They're best prepared here to try and defend the attack, but at the moment it's the Mongolian team finding the headshots. Menace with 2 Sodu with another frag, and Dennis quickly tries to retreat, does get 2 nice headshots, and a third there. So Dennis coming up huge in this instance. He now finds himself in a 1 versus 1. The bomb is down at the long cross. He will now reposition himself. He only has 6 points of health here though, so good job, I think, trying to catch the terrorist off guard here, moving towards long. Zilkenberg recognising that, I guess that is very much a possibility here. We'll move into the side and try and plant with some sort of cover. There's a few boxes to hide, and as Dennis lobs that flash towards short, potentially trying to trick Zilkenberg. You actually catch him off guard there, but great work by Team Mongols. Zilkenberg stepping up, closing out that round. What was an easy round, very quickly turned into a very, very, I guess, heart-in-mouth sort of moment.
That's right. Dennis just tapping them down and really turned that back around for Mousesports there and forcing that 1v1. Of course, he didn't really have the HP to enter into any sort of aim duel, taking his time to reposition himself at long. Obviously, the smart play in that instance. But, of course, as a result, Mousesports now find themselves on an eco to try and get that CT economy in order.
And this is what we love to see. A all-out B-Russian and Dennis showing that last round's headshots was not a fluke. He's actually already got 1, and next time's in with 2. So all of a sudden, I guess, Mongols, whilst they have found 2 frags here, they are quite low. Zilkenberg only on 3 points of health, so potentially we're seeing the negatives of that aggression coming out here as they just handled it.
What I'd assume was a flanking frag. If that was a jumping frag, I'd certainly be bewildered, but nonetheless, Zilkenberg, 3 HP, having to go 3 versus 1. Mousesports have actually backed off here, so this is quite intelligent from them, obviously working off the communication that he might be quite low, and now he's going to plant in this B site, forcing this 3 versus 1. And he needs to find the frags early. He really can't afford to enter into any sort of prolonged aim duel, as that HP is going to be a massive factor. 1 bullet landed here will simply end his tenure in this round. It does unfortunately fall to Nico, so Mousesports getting the upper hand in that full eco round. Mongols taking a very risky option in rushing B. Those German pistols just wrecking them on entry.
Yeah, you've been talking up the German pistols lately in some of our casts, but to be honest, I don't actually fault Mongols for that strat there. I mean, they rushed B. There are only 2 CT members there, and it wasn't as though they were caught off guard with flashes or anything. I mean, it was just those 2 pistols in hand, next with, I think, the 5.7, and also the deagle of Dennis on the plat, who just happened to win those duels, and there was no trading coming in from Mongols, something that they pride themselves on. So it was really, I think, Just some fantastic dealer work, and I think T's not quite switched on there to make those trade frags when they needed to.
Yeah, I agree. The trading was quite poor in that instance, and that's really where they paid. But nonetheless, Nico actually going for an SMG here, so he's trying to get that dank bank, that Skrilla. And, well, little does he know, bit of a quasi-buy coming out here from MongolZ. This is, again, what we spoke about, that tendency to try and force the issue in the rounds.
That's right, this is MongolZ doing the best E-frag impersonation. I don't mind this on Dust2. I think that when you've got 3 AKs, certainly using those smokes to do a great job of blocking off mid and allowing your players up onto catwalk can actually be quite strong here. You can see Mousesports keeping 2 members in the B site, so at the moment just trying to lock down that side off the back of what was a show of strength last round as MongolZ charged in their direction, but at the moment we can see MongolZ have other ideas as they now backtrack towards long, and I think this will bode well for them in the sense that as they move at least 2 members out long potentially. Having said that, the bomb will now rotate back. I was going to say they would isolate that player at long and might be able to get that early duel, but at the moment, a little bit of indecisiveness coming into effect.
Right. It's a very tense standoff between the 2 teams here at the moment, trying to work out whether one or another can actually buy as a result of some of those rounds, but Zilkenberg, momentarily, they're going to try and flash him out mid, and whilst it does catch out Chris J, he does have the cover of that smoke to try and get himself away from any potential danger, and teamwork from Mouse here is quite good, but of course not able to catch anyone from MongolZ off. He does step on that flash though, so might catch out Zilkenberg. So do enter into a bit of a duel, but of course back off.
Well, that's right. The main attack will actually come in through short now, so I think recognising that CT strength, they have opted to go to the A bond site. Chris J getting the opening drop there onto Zilkenberg in mid, but like we said, it will be short. Nico here with just the deed, has the SMG, but opting to use that pistol or gun in which he made himself famous for. Doesn't quite connect just yet, but as the T's move in, those flashes do actually buy him some time. Great Deedle frayed there in that instance. Gets a second, takes the bomber down, taking down Menace in the end. Fantastic work there by Nico, not just getting the 2 frags, but also buying some time for that rotation to come in.
Yeah, just giving him a bit of a dirt nap there and reminding him that, of course, he's still a factor in this game, and definitely MongolZ here that are struggling at the moment. Look at their economy. As a result of not getting a plant there, they're, of course, forced to upgrade pistols in some instances, but, of course, 2 Glocks in there as well. Their money is not very healthy at the moment.
Yeah, they've actually been quite a lot more passive than I was expecting. Outside of that all-out B rush, which didn't work out for them for reasons already stated, but I think also potentially taking long quite early a few rounds ago. It's actually been quite slow. I mean, even the round they won, first off, they only won with about 3 or 4 seconds left on the clock. That round, they were very indecisive, moving up mid and moving back to long, and then vice versa. So as they move out long here, this should be mince meat for Team Mousesports. Nico there has got 1 frag, looking for a second, can't quite convert there. Zilkenberg bails away, almost as though he's hoping to find someone to win the round with 6 HP and a Glock. I think that's quite ambitious, but I mean, his first major event here at IEM Katowice. You don't need dream big.
For a caution into the win, might as well go for it. Of course, nothing to lose in that instance there, but they are going to buy into this round with, well, potentially minimal utility unless they forego some guns. And now, we do see them actually go for the AK, so that means very minimal utility on these guys. They really only have an assortment of smokes, a couple of flashes here and there, and they're really going to need to work as a cohesive unit to get into this round. But of course, you can see themselves splitting up out of the spawn there. They're going to send members into Upper Dark and just try and take control of that. But in the meantime, look at this aggression from Nico, just pushing up mid. You should catch them off guard.
Yeah, he had Christo there covering lower dark, but as Christo went down, next, crucially for his team's sake, does step in and manage to grab 2 frags before backing off, and all of a sudden this is another round going Mousesports' way, and they've managed to really just turn the tide very early in this round. 4 frags, NC will be asking himself where has his teammates gone, and it looks as though Machine Gun, the captain of the team, will call on a pause here, but things getting out of hand here for MongolZ. NCL just biding his time, trying to see if any of the CTs play overly aggressive, and we can see that Dennis actually pushed into top dark here, if I can get my words out, and potentially going to catch NCL off guard, and does just that. Converts that round 7-2. Mousesports now lead, and we said that from a MongolZ perspective, Jim. T-side was their preferred side, but they're really struggling now.
That's right, and they've actually opted to take what I assume would be a tactical pause at the right time as well. Still with the option to get themselves back into this match. Now, for me, this has been very strange from MongolZ. We haven't seen that characteristic T-side aggression from them. In fact, it's been a very passive form of play. But on the flip side of that as well, we've actually seen Mousesports hold some restraint. Bar that last round, they really haven't been too aggressive at all. Nico pushing his way up mid, changing the tempo on what they knew would be potentially a gun round from MongolZ. They really did push the issue there and caught them off guard, as we saw Nico and both Chris J getting in and getting some frags earlier. I think Next got a couple as well. So really, just that CC side aggression, catching them off guard there, showing that they're willing to change the tempo.
What I liked as well from a Mousesports perspective at the moment is that every single player on that team is contributing. That was one of the things that we said in the pre-game, that from a Mousesports perspective, their best chance of success, given the fact that some of their players have been a little bit inconsistent of late, was if all 5 players were producing, it had taken a lot of pressure off Nico as the in-game leader. Perhaps as they move on to the T side in the second half, all of a sudden he doesn't have to try and mastermind some fantastic strategy. It's a little bit easier, has some more room to play with. And at the moment, all those supporting cast members that we spoke of doing a fantastic job of getting those frags on the board.
That's right, and of course we can see the CT economy is healthy, alive, and well at the moment. Obviously doing quite well, taking minimal losses into these rounds, and now, as we see, well, it's just amassing at the top of mid. Not really, again, opting for any quick control on the choke points, just opting to try and take some very slow passive control. That grenade should do a world of damage, though, at the top of mid. Oh. Does take down Zilkenberg and NCL quite significantly, so they'll already, Mongols, perhaps be rattled here, but as we can see, some pistols coming out, and they're going to try their luck at short.
That's right. I mean, it's an area of the map that they've tried a few times so far in this map, and I think it's quite common play on Dust2 to try and, I guess, exploit the fact that it can be quite easy with some good, well-placed flashes and smokes to bust onto the side. At the moment, though, Nico, the star of the team, the young Bosnian player, is trying his best to try and lock it down. He's positioned on that A ramp at the moment and inching his way up, perhaps now trying to back off, get a little bit more cover, but it's just a matter of time. You can't help but think with 3 members of the T's there posted up, just waiting to go. They don't actually have a flash here or any sort of utility nets to support them, so at the moment they're almost just trying to bide their time, a guessing game as to when would be the best opportunity to step out onto the site, trying to catch Nico off guard, but you can tell from his position at the moment there's almost no right time as he is fully switched on and alert to potentially the presence. Having said that, they've caught him off guard, and all of a sudden as 3 frags go down, Machine Gun finds 2 and NCL finds 1, so they've picked their time quite rightly in that situation as they now find themselves with that bomb planted in a 4-on-2 situation. They do have some members, though, on low HP, which we already pointed out to start off this round off the back of that great HE grenade. So Spitty, he has found 1. They must now retake in a 2-on-3. That's
right. They have the T's pincered here as Dennis finds 1, but he's taken out quickly by Sogu. And now it's just a 1 versus 1. HP and, well, I was going to say aim punch could be a factor here, but of course they are going to try and force that 1 by 1. Speedy actually tries to stick at Sogu, coming out with the frag there onto him. And of course, Mongol's 3rd round, so that was quite well worked there from Mongols. Of course, it's ending a run of 4 rounds in a row that they'd lost, and they need to take the momentum here. They need to take a little bit more an aggressive stance, I'd say.
Oh yeah, I mean, some sick headshots coming out there from the Mongolian team, but I think they've just won the lotto in the sense that Nico had his eyes pinned on short for about 1.5 minutes, and the 1 second he looked away was the time that they utilised to step out and caught him off guard and open up that A bomb site. So fantastic work there. Perhaps a little bit of luck playing its part, but you've got to take that in CSGO. You can see that from a terrace perspective, the first time this match, Zilkenberg actually with an AWP in hand, and this is something we haven't seen from the Mongolian team so far. You can see at the moment on the overlay, he's actually posted up at the top of mid, perhaps trying to take that duel with what he thought might have been Chris J. It's actually Nico, though, who's actually got that AWP. They've got a double AWP set up on the CT side at the moment, and I really love this play here from Dennis. Really intelligent, actually dropping that smoke, almost playing mind games, telling the T's that he had backed off, actually walks through the smoke instead and does catch Machine Gun. So great frag there. Great work there from Dennis, the entry fragger of Team Mousesports, doing a great job of opening things up from a CT side. Chris J at the moment here on the A side, but 4-on-4. Chris J hoping to make it a 4-on-3. Oh,
Chris J with that cheeky angle does actually whiff his first shot. We'll just dance around. He knows Menace is sitting in short there, but in the meantime, the T's are actually backing off. They're going to go back through lower dark. Surely the CT should have some information with that man sitting outside B, being able to hear them rush through lower dark. So funnily enough, they actually are rotating out of the site, so incorrect in that call, but they are going to try and split B here in this pincer.
That's right, they've got 3 members there. Will be NCL, who's the entry fragger, trying to, I guess, make hay as he moves in towards his B side. Does a fantastic job with the support of his teammate there, grabbing both frags, and all of a sudden, those 2 B members that you spoke about from a Mousesports perspective have been taken down. Speedy here, I think, recognising that this round is a lost cause, will just try and, I guess, leer above that smoke that had been placed in CT spawn, trying to catch off any terrorists, but not to be. Mousesports saving their guns in this instance. Mongols, 2 rounds in a row. The first time I think we've seen that so far in this match. And doing enough there, just because Mousesports heavily invested into that round, we must reiterate that they actually had to rebuy into that round, and of course opted for 2 AWPs in that setup. So, of course, a heavy economic investment, resulting in both remaining members in Chris J and Speedy needing to save their weaponry and try and push it into the next round in order to buy. Actually surprised, to be honest, to see Nico picking up the AWP given the context. I might hold that sentiment just for one moment, just to see if MongolZ are willing to challenge the CTs along. It doesn't look as though they are, but I mean, he already has so much responsibility as the star, the in-game leader, to add to that by placing the AWP on his shoulders. That's a lot to burden a player with. I think that on a CT side, running the double AWP setup, I'm not actually a fan, to be honest. I think there's a lot of versatility that you can have with one AWP, but all of a sudden throw two into the mix and it becomes quite predictable, in my opinion. But at the moment, Mousesports, they can afford to buy into this round, but this will be the last possible round they can afford to do so. So if MongolZ could win this round, Jim, they might be looking at a couple of easy ecos coming their way.
And look at this aggression through short there. The double stack could be destroyed. Christian actually finds the first frag onto Machine Gun. He was trying to take control of short, but of course was cut down by that AWP of Chris J. And now MongolZ just forced to rethink their approach into this round. As you can see, all members just there, massing in lower dark and mid. They're going to try their luck out there to try and get the frag, but of course, as you can see, Mousesports just backing off entirely.
Yeah, playing it quite passive, and this is what we've seen. We've actually been surprised by perhaps some of the passive play from the Mongolian team. Certainly, when they've been aggressive, overwhelming sites by force has been perhaps where they've been making those frags. At the moment, though, Sodu does a fantastic job of taking down Speedy. The player who's been struggling for form recently for Mousesports, and this round, not to be in his sake, but Nico does a great job of actually retaliating that instance. And as MongolZ look to execute onto A here, Chris J locking it down from the card, doing a fantastic job. Actually flashes for himself as well and steps out off the back, connects onto Menace. Great work there by the Dutch player, doing a fantastic job as he now rotates back to take a more passive angle. It will actually be Next that beats him, getting that final frag. And some fantastic individual play there from Chris J. I think he finished with 3 kills in that round, getting, I think, the first, third, and fourth frags, doing a great job of mixing up his playstyle.
That's exactly right. We spoke about that. The option is afforded by running a single AWP setup. They can essentially pick a choke point to put it at, and what they opted to do then was actually boost it into mid and up to the catwalk. And that worked quite well because it met, I believe, Zilkenberg quite early and took him down. And again, they're opting for this AWP setup in lower dark and missing his shot this time. Will have to be forced to retreat into the site, and they're going to rework their setup here.
I like the play, though, from Mousesports. I like the fact that they boosted Chris J up. They had so much success, not just with his ult there, but also pushing, I think, rifles out onto catwalk and catching MongolZ off guard in lower dark or at the top of mid. So I like the intent. You can see having now, I guess, not exposed too much of themselves. They have backed off to safety. Zilkenberg actually trying to open up the B side, but look at the overlay at the moment. He doesn't have any teammates in close support. They are trying to rotate over to him at the moment, but he's almost caught in between two worlds where he wants to move on to the side, but he knows he doesn't have teammates nearby, and you can see him almost scoping, and if there were any CTs nearby, they would have heard that. Fortunately for his sake, CT in the form of Dennis is posted outside the window.
That's right, and as you can see, they do have a member posted up in lower dark, but surely that footstep would give them away by now as they do make their way into the site. Menace tasked with being the entry force here as they do finally get their way in. That smoke should be able to lock the CTs out. Dennis posting up at the window does opt for a cheeky pick, but of course backs right off, and they're going to try and retake here. 5 versus 5. This is a very pacifist round so far, but this 40-second bomb timer could be a massive factor in this retake.
Well, that's right. B site's not normally the site you want to try and retake on Dust2. It can be very effective from a terrorist perspective to use your utility to try and lock out those choke points, but you can see they've only got one smoke left in the hands of Zilkenberg. They need to rely perhaps on their strong aim to try and shut this down. From a CT perspective, though, they're almost caught between two worlds here. One CT still rotating through terrorist spawn at the moment. It's just taking so much time, and as 3 CTs sit outside that B window, they're really not yet executed. They will now move in. They do not commit with that first frag, though. Will be NCL spitting quickly, getting one, and as the frags come down faster than I can speak, we end up in a 2-on-2, make it a 2-on-1, and Mousesports Spitty now has NCL to contend with, but there is no time left. He couldn't even have got to that bomb had he tried in that instance. Mousesports wasted too much time. I think they were waiting for that lurk or that late flank to come through T-spawn, but in the end, I think they overthought the situation and cost themselves that opportunity to retake.
That's right. I'm bewildered as to why they sent someone so far back around to try and check all those angles. I mean, very small percentage chance. Surely you would group up in upper dark and opt to try and trade out there as opposed to flank a potential flanker, but Mousesports there ultimately paying the price, even though it was a 40-second round bomb timer now. In that instance, they needed about 50 seconds with the amount of time that they took there. It was just way too slow for my liking. But a tactical pause does come out from Mousesports, and
I think Nexus crashed.
Oh,
So
Nexus
he'll be back in the server momentarily. But the difficulty here from MongolZ is the fact that because they're winning their rounds so periodically, it means that the CT can continually afford to buy here. Even moving into this next round, Mousesports are comfortably going to be able to afford almost any weapon of their choice and utility. Chris J, we know, already has that AWP. Across the board, these teammates all have about 4 to 5k, so they'll easily be able to invest into this round. I like, though, from MongolZ that they've seemingly come alive now towards the end of this half. I think it'd be quite easy for an inexperienced team to snowball, but given the fact that they've now managed to, I guess, get some presence in this map and really start to win some of these duels, I like that.
Massive gamble here, though, from Mousesports, opting for a double orb setup. We criticised it earlier, and it didn't really seem to work. If anything, it sort of stemmed Chris J's effectiveness in being able to pick multiple choke points within the same round, and we saw him moving around quite freely there, but now that's going to limit his options. As we see Nico actually picking up that AWP as well, so he's going to take on the long choke point, but in the meantime, the B control is coming out from the Mongols. They've just slowed up here as they make their way into Upper Dark.
And it's a fantastic call in the sense that I guess 2 Mousesports members are double stacked here at double doors, and perhaps if they had committed to the B side, they would have only found 1 member of Mousesports there, but as they now rotate through Lower Dark, they could be faced with the prospect of trying to take down 2 CT members at close range, but Dennis is always positioned there, I think, off the back of that first frag, and as a result, Nex and himself are traded down quite quickly, so that's certainly a win to Mongols in this instance. They now find themselves in a 3-on-3. The bomb, though, still looking behind in top dark as his teammates make their way towards A.
That's right, and I think Nico just actually holding that bomb down. He does take the bomb down in Upper Dark, and well, that's a lot of information for the CTs now. Sogu has to go 1-on-3. They, of course, know where the bomb is and know that it's a high likelihood that he's going to make his way there very, very soon. Chris J has a great position in the back of the plat and finishes it off. That's a bread and butter shot for him, I'd imagine. And I just felt as though that bomb went into Upper Dark way too early there.
I think, with respect to, I guess, moving into the site is what you're talking about. Yep. Because it looked as though the intent from a Mongols perspective in that 3-on-3 was to try and, I guess, fake that A bomb site, even by committing some members to that site as it turned out to be, and rely on that early CT rotation to try and get to the B site undetected. But like you said, I think off the back of not having much success at A, that player in Dark was almost forced to take that early exchange and ultimately copped an AWP bullet to the chest from Chris J. In this final round now, you can see Mongols have obviously invested everything that they can. Again, they've almost ending off this half in the fashion in which they started, with just pistols and some armor in hand. They've already lost 1 member, Zilkenberg going down, and really Mongols across the board at the moment. He's just looking for someone to step up and lead the charges if they're amounts of a possible comeback. You can see again Dennis, and soon to be Next, you'd have to think, doing a good job of shutting down this mid-attack, and very disjointed, as we've already commented on so far this half, and looks as though Mousesports will be going in with a 10-5 lead. That's
right, Mongols have had very limited success in trying to open up mid. And Mousesports have just stood very, very strong, and, well, it just seems to be that they're setting up their very own wall in mid to keep them out, but Mouse, Nico just defending that site so well, takes down Machine Gun, and now just Menace to contend with. He's got a lot of work to do in his 5 versus 1. He does have the bomb. I guess that's a small positive here, but very big risk dropping into CT. Does take down Next. Of course, will get his weapon as a result. And he needs to win this round. There's no point in going for damage. Speedy, of course, finishes him off. 10-5 the score. Mongols just struggling against Mousesports here on Dust2.
You have to give so much credit to the way that those Mousesports players in particular, both Nico and Chris J, actually locked down that short catwalk area, particularly very defensively from that A site. It can actually be a really difficult choke point to hold if you have the terrorists executing with flashes, smokes, even a member dropping down into CT to create that second angle. But they did a fantastic job of really taking those 1v1 duels and turning a 3 or 4v1 into a series of 1v1s just by changing the angle and just playing more passive and having that rotation there. So great job on the CT side. Now, though, this will be the test for Mousesports. What can they do on their terrorist side? Nico, the new in-game leader for this team, I think it'll be a little bit more easy with, I guess, the buffer that they've already granted themselves as we move now onto this second half pistol.
That's right, and a very passive approach coming out from the counter-terrorist. Obviously, Zilkenberg charged with being the B-site defender, but as you can see from Mousesports here, they are opting for some lower dark control. That bomb is still sitting at the top of mid, and it's a very, very passive approach, but as we see, Menace actually trying to get his team some information here at long. Does spot out and, of course, fall back. Doesn't want to lose his life just yet, because as you can see, if he dies, they will open up this long side. But look at this aggression in mid.
Yeah, they've already pushed up Machine Gun, and now Sodu joining the party as they charge up, and Nico still caught in T-spawn. They're unawares, and again, even Dennis hasn't even stepped there to try and trade his teammate in that instance. I mean, they knew that the CTs had pushed mid, so strange work there from Dennis for me. Next has done a good job of taking down Machine Gun, but as Menace quickly retaliates, and potentially his teammates might quickly follow suit as well, as Dennis goes down, and all of a sudden the flash of the round is over, and that aggression from Mongols, finally, it emerges here on the CT side as that late push up mid caught Mousesports unawares. Really surprised by the decision making there by those. I think it was not just Dennis, but he had a teammate there in Lower Dark as well who opted not to step. I think they were almost afraid of the fact that Mongols had showed so much presence in mid with 3 members pushing that they didn't want to take those duels, but in the end it meant that Mongols could retreat back to safety. Great start to that second half.
That's right, and maybe this is setting the precedent for how they're going to approach their CT side, and that definitely might be playing on the minds here of Mousesports, but a very passive approach here in this anti-eco. They do take control of long quite early, and they do try and get Menace into that hut. Of course, he falls quite early, and geez, if he's not aware by now, that Deagle of Nico is a massive, massive threat. Of course, now has a P90, but I'm sure he will switch back to that Deagle at any moment. In the meantime, though, Mousesports amassing in upper dark and just seeing whether or not Nico can work some more magic on that lurk.
And Zilkenberg actually playing a really risky game with his life, actually trying to take that duel with the M4. Doesn't have any utility to support him, so it's a good job that Machine Gun actually smoked off Dark then. And whilst he does rotate back to mid now, leaving Zilkenberg on his own, at least temporarily, Mousesports perhaps won't be inclined to step through that smoke. But this is something we've seen from this new Mousesports roster. They play incredibly slow, even off the back of being our opening frag on a map like Dust2 that we already commented on. The fact that rotation comes to be massive, and I just think exploiting that from T is so crucial. Even still, they're playing quite slow, but it looks so temporarily, they will execute on to be here.
That's right, and Mongols do have the forces in the sight. Nico, though, does find another frag on that lurk, and he's certainly going to be playing into the mind of Mongols here, as they do actually have to rotate a person off the B-bomb site just to try and cover some angles and reshift, but they are going to combust here onto the B-bomb site. Nico finds another frag as well, so he's doing work on that active lurking role, and in the meantime, though, Zilkenberg is under a lot of pressure here in the B-bomb site. They do manage to take him down quite quickly, and all falls now on NCL's shoulders. He has a lot of work to do. Nico, though, of course, has a bit of armor, and that Colton is set up here quite well in the B-bomb site. They know where NCL is, and they're just going to try and keep him at bay. Of course, wherever he goes, he's going to have 3 crosshairs trained on his position, and of course, now forced to fall back.
Well, I think Mongols just learnt the hard lesson as to why Nico is considered one of the best individual aimers, and with this incredible game sense, they were caught off guard by a one-man army, and they copped the ultimate punishment there as Nico found 3 frags, the opening 3 frags of the round, to open up for his team. And fantastic individual play there, but I think from a Mongols perspective, really disappointing way to lose the second round. Perhaps it looked as though they had an opportunity to get some momentum going. NCL will take down Nico, the danger man, in that instance. But it's all to no avail as the round does go the way of the Terrorists. Again, Mousesports are in a strong position now as they picked up that second round. They have the economy to buy into this round, and Mongols now on the back foot, a position in which they were looking to get away from after that first half.
That's right, and it's almost as though you should be permanently watching Nico. This guy is certainly doing something actively all the time. I mean, he has been criticised at times for his playstyle, but at the moment, it's paying dividends for them, and they will more than likely continue to look for frags in that manner. But just a very now passive approach from Mousesports, perhaps fearing some aggression coming out from the Mongols, but they do send Dennis in that SMG, trying to get the entry frag there. Of course, he's a little bit more expendable than the rest of them that do actually have those rifles. So they'll be trying to flash him into choke points, use him essentially as fodder. If he does get the frags, of course, there is that SMG Skrilla bonus. But they are just waiting here at long. Those Grens and Smokes are going to come in. Nico takes out one, and NCL is under a lot of pressure here. They know his position. Sogu goes down quite quickly, of course, with NCL falling, and now just Machine Gun to contend with. He has a lot of work to do and not a lot of position to do it with. He does have some head armor, though, so if he can get away with the gun, it's definitely going to be a good round for him.
I think his chances of getting away with the gun are probably minuscule in that instance, but the timing, not quite there for Mongols. I mean, even in that instance, we saw that rotation coming from the CT, loading up on that A-bomb site, which is great. But as they threw those almost self-pop flashes for themselves trying to catch the T's off guard, you saw that the T's were still posted up back at the end of long, and the flashes had no effect in that instance. So Mongols, not quite gelling at the moment. They will now find themselves in a hole at 12-6 down, certainly not down and out at the moment, but this is where perhaps the economy starts to come into play. It can be much harder potentially for a CT team on a map such as Dust2 to get that comeback going and building up that bank to sustain continued buys.
Well, there is also that pressure too that comes with such a large scoreline, that deficit. I mean, getting into those double figures, Mousesports on that 12 round mark, there might be just that mental pressure too that Mongols are experiencing, that they need to potentially buy into some rounds that they wouldn't necessarily need to. But we do see Machine Gun just saving out there, and now Mousesports on another gun round. I do like the way that they did send in their SMG first and essentially utilize those rifles as the distance play. Dennis was the fodder then, and the rifle sat back and just picked off the Mongols as they ran into the crosshairs.
Yeah, I also like the fact that they sent in Dennis first and left the stronger fraggers behind to clean up. I think that was also probably a good decision, not just his weaponry in that instance, but good job there by Mousesports nonetheless, keeping that round quite clean.
He is their entry, to be fair.
Well, in any case, I certainly like to have Nico go in, mopping up all the kills and doing a great job closing out the rounds, and he's doing a fantastic job for his team at the moment. Obviously, we see that Mongols are on Nico here, but 13-6 is potentially the scoreline that we're going to be looking at here, Jim. And for a team that's, I guess this is their first international competition against European and American teams, they haven't had this sort of opportunity to be viewed on the world stage, competing against the best teams. How do they go about clawing their way back in here? What's the process for this team?
Well, essentially, the way that I would be approaching it would be just setting some small goals and making sure that they try and win the next gun round. And just some small manageable goals that they can achieve and get themselves back into this match. So I'd be setting my sights on the next gun round and going from there. But as expected, very pedestrian from Mousesports. They get themselves into this round quite quickly. 13-6 to score. MongolZ, they do have a gun round up their sleeves. More importantly, though, look at that lack of utility coming out. They really are forced to take some aim duels here. They don't have the utility to slow some aggressive strats from Mousesports, and that, for me, is a little bit worrying.
Yeah, and you can see the bank that the Terrorists have managed to build up in that instance. So great work here by Mousesports. They're really in a strong position here. And you can see the aggression potentially early on coming out from Mousesports as they send all 5 members towards Dark nonetheless. So whilst they do back off, they were teasing us a little bit there as they perhaps hinted at signs of what could have been, but 4 members now going towards lower Dark. You can see Speedy still posted up here in top Dark, but relying on his teammates here to perhaps find that opening. Nico, the in-game leader, actually leading from the front in this instance. So we've seen him lurk, now we've seen him almost entry frag, and Machine Gun here will be the one called into action. The flash is through over mid. Machine Gun does a fantastic job actually taking down Dennis, but doesn't, I guess, connect with that second frag in the instance, while Sudu does take one down here too. Finds himself the loser in that following exchange. So Mousesports here looking quite strong. It will be a 3-on-2 as they back off to B, and a completely open site here.
That's right, they do have a completely open site. Speedy just giving the crucial information there, and well, there's not too much that MongolZ can do at the moment. They are just caught in limbo at the moment, trying to make that decision whether or not they will go for the retake. Now, we can see that Nico is quite low, and they are actually going to go for this here, and I think that's something that they should do. If they can pick up a frag nice and early, it's going to put a lot more pressure back on Mousesports, but as we said, as a result, they don't have the utility to get themselves back into that site, so they're just going to have to take the aim duels. Nico takes down 1 on 10 HP. That is monumental for them. Menace finds a reply finally, and now it's just a 2 versus 1. I don't like Menace's chances here, as the Terrorists just lay in wait. That smoke will dissipate, but needs to just try and find another frag here. Not going to look likely for them. He's just going to try to do some damage to that T economy, but it's not really going to be much of a consequence, as he actually loses his own life in that battle. MongolZ here in trouble against Mousesports.
And I think we could be seeing MongolZ perhaps learning the harsh reality of playing European Counter-Strike. Mousesports doing a fantastic job at the moment of really controlling the tempo. It's seemingly as though they're choosing to be aggressive or passive and controlling the pace of the game both on the CT and T side. And I think MongolZ at the moment not quite able to put up any sort of resistance. So they don't have the economy at the moment to sustain that sort of gameplay. You can see they've invested everything they can into this round, trying to perhaps postpone the inevitable. They now find themselves in that massive hole. 14-6 down again. Ziltenberg has gone down, hasn't quite stepped up today. I think it's fair to say Machine Gun 2 goes down at the hands of Nico, who's been a menace, no pun intended, all game long, and as NCL does rotate now through Dark. I think we could be seeing potentially Mousesports here moving on to 15 rounds. They've got control of the B side. The bomb has gone down, and as Sudu follows suit, all of a sudden Menace, who also goes by the name of Otgu, we do understand, is the last alive.
You were waiting for all cars to drop that Menace pun, weren't you?
Well, I was running out of rounds, Jim, at 15-6, let me tell you.
But of course, MongolZ just struggling on their CT side at the moment, with Mousesports just playing a very slow, methodical game. Nico actually sending in Dennis as almost fodder a lot of the time and trading him out quite well if need be, but they're losing some key aim battles there, and Mousesports, very slow, methodical approach is actually working for them quite well. So Mousesports at the moment are looking quite good, but they have some tougher opposition to get through yet.
Well, they're heading towards the B side. Silkenberg. It's been a long while since MongolZ have opened up the exchange, but he has taken down his counterpart for Chris J in that instance. Does a good job of repositioning himself. He actually, his teammate in that instance, sorry, a nice counter flash, trying to allow him to get back onto the platform, but Nico was just waiting for it. Biding his time, he capitalises in the end. Can't quite get the second there, but that would have been a sick flick shot nonetheless. Move into the side with that Tech 9 in hand, and the Rec 9 does claim another victim this round. Sudu there again, pushing into the side again, trying to put up some sort of resistance, but not having the support that he needed in that instance to justify potentially pushing in. We do see as the bomb has now made its way in towards B. Spitty could be the one who signals death here. He is on the lurk. He sees the CTs here, not waiting for the plant, though. They're actually pushed in, and NCL does a great job of getting one. Menace with the second, and as Nico now finds himself last alive, it's all too much in this instance for the Bosnian player. NCL with what was his, I think, second or third frag for the round. MongolZ now 15-7.
What a smart little smoke at the window, allowing them to just get through that choke point, that narrow entry to the B-bomb site. Unawares, like Guerrilla's in the mist, they just got in there and essentially just stopped the bomb from being planted. And now we do see Mouse just have to delve into that that bank of theirs that they've been able to build. And they aren't out of the woods here yet for old Mongols, as they do take control of Long Mouse as they start to choke this A-bomb site.
Yeah, but look at this aggression from the CTs too, actually pushing up mid. I think they were boosted up catwalk to start the round off. Sodu has already been taken down, I should say, but NCL, I think they don't recognize Mousesports, that there were 2 members. And have a look at this, he's actually spotted out 2 here, but he shoots so early, there was potential for much more. He has got 1, he will try and reposition himself now, but Mousesports alert to the threat, try and backtrack and take him down. He's doing a good job though of actually just manipulating those doors. And they're wooden doors, but you wouldn't know it if you try and spam through them. At the moment, though, the terrorists have taken him down. Mousesports find a second frag. Zilkenberg now in a 1 versus 4. His team's hopes in this match now rest on his shoulders. We've seen him start with the ult in the Asia qualifier, and he needs to certainly produce that sort of quality gameplay right now. He's found the first. Supports, I think, Spinny jumping across the side, who will now try and plant that bomb, but he still has 2 other members to contend with in the end. Nico, I think quite fittingly in that instance, does get the final frag, and the man who did so much damage to the Mongols all game long, I think justifiably gets the final frag. That's right, it was almost one-way